auxiliary power to the rear deflector shield.
We definitely do.
Since when do you know how to fly? 190 years old? You look great.
Chewie, get in. I'll help Lando.
This is Michael Faulkner, and it is showtime at the May 22nd, 2018 edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Brought to you on the Chronocrypt Network. Starting with the box office reports, it is week 20 of 2018, and a Marvel film starring Josh Brolin has fallen to a Marvel film starring Josh Brolin. Sounds crazy. The weekend for this year is number one in the domestic record books with $202.9 million spanning the top 12. This solidly beats 2015 and Pitch Perfect 2, which holds the second place position with a $25 million difference. Let's get this countdown rolling with number 10 and I Feel Pretty, down 4 spots from 6th. At number 9 is Rampage, down 2 from 7th. At 8th is A Quiet Place, down 3 from 5th. In 7th is Overboard, down 3 from 4th. And capping the bottom 5 is Show Dogs, premiering to $6 million. That is among the worst releases premiering in over 3,000 theaters of all time. And that actually matches up pretty well with its 22 to 35% critical reception, despite a rather large controversy among family groups over some of the content. Attending audiences gave it an A- grade. The top 5 begins with Breaking In, down 2 from 3rd with $6.8 million, added to a total of $29.1 million. In 4th place is Life of the Party, down 2 from 2nd with $7.6 million, and a total of $30.9 million. In 3rd place is new release Book Club, premiering to $13.6 million. That's above studio expectations and is being hailed as a solid counter to the Bullets and Blood of Deadpool 2. Audiences gave this one an A- cinema score, and critics found it decent with a 53 to 57% reception. Taking over in 2nd place is Avengers Infinity War, adding $29.5 million to a total of $595.8 million. This makes Infinity War 8th all-time, behind Star Wars The Last Jedi, The Avengers, Jurassic World, Titanic, Black Panther, Avatar, and Star Wars The Force Awakens. And finally, it's not a shock to see who took over for the Avengers this week. In 1st place is Deadpool 2, premiering to $125.5 million. Now, despite setting 2 early records with the Thursday previews and opening day takes, the sequel was only able to muster the 2nd largest R-rating opening ever. Not to fear, fans of Mr. Pool, for the top of that charts is still Deadpool number 1. And there's a very similar story to be told on the charts for the largest Fox opening ever. Audiences gave this one a solid A cinema score, and word of mouth from my peers is this one exceeds the original by a marked amount. Critics agreed, coming in around 70 to 83%. Considering the Marvel Josh Brolin symmetry from week to week, this week wants in on some of that magic. The box office premieres for May 25th are fighting the Merc with a mouth with a smuggler with a mouth. This week's headliner is Solo, a Star Wars story, a sci-fi fantasy action film starring Alden Ehrenreich, Emilia Clarke, and Donald Glover.
Think. You want to make that move. You want to make that move. You made that move, okay. I guess I'll have to destroy that little guy. Somehow I never get bored with winning. No, you can't wipe them off. They're holograms. Hey, Chewie, relax. Hey, try to compose yourself. Look, all you gotta do is think a few moves ahead, anticipate your opponent. There's a lesson to be learned here.
During an adventure into a dark criminal underworld, Han Solo meets his future co-pilot Chewbacca and encounters Lando Calrissian years before joining the rebellion. Solo, a Star Wars story, is rated PG-13. There are also 2 titles on this week's limited slate, and you can find those in the show notes. Next up, let's take a look at the home entertainment slate for the week of May 22nd, and I'll begin to release on DVD and Blu-ray, and that list kicks off with Red Sparrow, a drama thriller starring Jennifer Lawrence, Joel Edgerton, and Matthias Schoenaerts. A young Russian intelligence officer is assigned to seduce a first-tour CIA agent who handles the agency's most sensitive penetration of Russian intelligence. These 2 young officers collide in a charged atmosphere of tradecraft, deception, and inevitably forbidden passion that threatens not just their lives, but others as well. Red Sparrow is rated R. The other new release is Game Night, an action comedy starring Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams, and Kyle Chandler. A group of friends who meet regularly for game night find themselves trying to solve a murder mystery. Game Night is rated R. Swinging by new release on digital video, there's one title to share, and that one is Annihilation, a sci-fi mystery film starring Natalie Portman, Jennifer Jason Leigh, and Oscar Isaac. A biologist signs up for a dangerous secret expedition where the laws of nature do not apply. Annihilation is rated R. Moving right along to TV on DVD and Blu-ray, start things there with Call the Midwife, Season 7 from 2018, starring Jenny Agutter, Laura Main, and Vanessa Redgrave. The hugely successful drama returns with more laughs, tears, and inspiring stories from the nurses and nuns of Nonnetz's house. The year is 1963, and the midwives find themselves tested both personally and professionally as never before. Together, they face challenging medical issues while fighting their own personal battles. Nurse Crane finds her authority questioned from an unexpected quarter. Sister Monica Joan is forced to accept her failing faculties, and the much-loved characters are joined by West Indian midwife Lucille Anderson, a funny and clever nurse who brings a fresh burst of energy to life at Nonnetz's house. The other TV title this week is Famous in Love, Season 1 from 2017, starring Bella Thorne, Charlie DePue, and Carter Jenkins. Based on the novel by Rebecca Searle, published by Little, Brown and Company, Famous in Love follows ordinary college student Paige as she gets her big break after auditioning for the starring role in a Hollywood blockbuster. Paige must now navigate her new star-studded life and undeniable chemistry with her 2 co-leads, while discovering the highs and lows that come with being the new It girl. Wrapping up the home entertainment slate, I have Blu-rays from the past, and this week, it's Jurassic Park. The action thriller from 1993 starring Sam Neill, Laura Dern, and Jeff Goldblum. On a remote island where an amazing theme park with living cloned dinosaurs is located, 5 people must battle to survive among the prehistoric predators when the security system breaks down and the beasts are released from their enclosures. This is also available in a 4K 4-pack, containing all the films in the series so far, since Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is coming next week. You know, I have enjoyed all of these films to varying degrees, but the first is still the best, hands down. Jurassic Park is rated PG-13. After a brief break for a bout of shameless podcast cross-promotion, the Weekly Podioplex will return.
The following presentation is brought to you through the power of science.
Ooh, shiny.
I'm science fiction writer Scott Pearson,
I'm his daughter, Ella.
and we are two generations of geek.
Anything can happen in the next half hour.
If you like geeky things,
And we know you do.
check out our podcast, Generations Geek, a family-friendly celebration of the Nerdiverse, brought to you by the Chronic Rift Network, which broadcasts from a treehouse in Lothlorien.
We talk amongst ourselves about geeky things, like our favorite movies, from black and white classics of stop-motion animation to the latest in 3D CGI. Plus, we have amazing guests, from New York Times best-selling authors to astronauts. No, really, astronauts.
Drop by generationsgeek.com for links to all our episodes. And remember, no geeks are harmed in the making of our podcast.
Welcome back. Denise is away again this week, starting out on a big, life-changing adventure. Don't worry, she will return to the Weekly Podioplex, and when she does, we're looking at a few changes here on the show. We're still going to be here, but we're planning on redecorating a little bit, and I hope you like the results. There will be more on that later, but for now, we are at the end of this edition of the Weekly Podioplex. If you want to discuss anything you heard on this week's edition or the show in general, you know we would love to hear from you. You can surf on over to the Chronic Rift homepage at chronicrift.com and leave an audio message right there on the website using your microphone. Just click the widget that says send voicemail and follow the prompts. You can also write an email or send an MP3 to weeklypodioplex@gmail.com or even go short form with Twitter. The Chronic Rift is chronic_rift. The Weekly Podioplex is Weekly Podioplex. Denise is Riley James Keith, all one word. And I am Womprat99, like the creature Luca Bullseye in his T16 in Beggar's Canyon. You can give the Chronic Rift a thumbs up on Stitcher Radio, leave us a review on iTunes, and you can find the Weekly Podioplex and the Chronic Rift on Facebook. The usual disclaimer applies. If you leave us feedback, chances are you'll hear your words on a future edition of the Weekly Podioplex. Take a moment and stop on by, see what other shows the Chronic Rift Network has to offer. The main show has made a comeback in 2018, and it's been off for a couple of weeks due to some of the storms up in New York, but it's usually offered weekly via Facebook Live on Sunday mornings, 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Grab yourself a cuppa and join in the fun, or download the audio version later in the podcast feed. We also explore our favorite aspects of genre entertainment with the Batcave podcast, the newly reformatted OSI Files podcast, the G2V podcast, Generations Geek, presenting the transcription feature, the Dan and Travis Show, the Sci-Fi Diner podcast, Doctor Who and Mr. Drew, the Home Game Show version podcast, and so much more. If you have a Roku player, you can treat it like a time machine with the Chronic Rift's Roku channel, where you can find episodes of the Chronic Rift's Adventures in the 1990s when it was a public access television show on the New York City airwaves. No Roku, no problem, because John is also uploading those episodes to Facebook, YouTube, and archive.org. So really, there's no reason that you shouldn't check us out. Find the culture in pop culture. If you're interested in more of my adventures, you can take a quick trip to my blog, Creative Criticality, where I am watching every episode of Doctor Who from the very beginning of the franchise and reviewing them in the Timestamps Project. I've been doing this for 4 years now. And this week, I'm launching into the 25th season with the 7th Doctor and Remembrance of the Daleks. In 4 years, I've made it 25 seasons and 7 Doctors, and it has been one hell of a journey. You can find that review and the last 4 years' worth at creativecriticality.wordpress.com. And you can also find Creative Criticality on Facebook. Denise can also be found on the internet at Accessories Not Included, where she talks about her writing, reviews books, and offers her services as an artist and a cover designer. You know she did the logo for Creative Criticality, so you know she does great work. You can check her out at accessoriesnotincluded.com. You can also find Denise's art on her Instagram account, Layman's Terms. That's LaymonSterms, where she is celebrating the month of May with mermaids. It's 31 days and 31 tales. It's kind of like Inktober, but more like May. If you decide to pick up any of this week's new releases, why not do it through our Amazon store? You get the newest entertainment at Amazon's low prices and high-quality service, and each purchase you make at that store supports the Chronic Rift Network. Your support keeps us on the air, and we appreciate your consideration. Look for the links to our best bets and the network store in our show notes, or click the Amazon box on the website. The Weekly Podioplex is a Lucky Shot production and is produced by John S. Drew. On behalf of Denise and John, this is Michael Faulkner. Thanks for listening. Until next time, their adventures and drama, comedy and action, worlds to explore in the depths of film. So get some popcorn, find your favorite seat, and enjoy the journey.
That's a wrap.